Hello, faithful listeners. My name's Clay Thompson, and I'll be your guide once again in the fiction room. Today's prompt is brought to us from a user whose name was unfortunately deleted off Reddit. 100% of people who drink water will die. Sounds like a dumb statistic, but you are 900 years old and very thirsty. As always, I hope you enjoy hearing these stories as much as I enjoy reading them, but without further ado, let us begin with our story today, written by one of my favorite Reddit authors, Rarely Funny. Wesley woke just minutes before the pulse alarm went off in his anim suit. It was still dark outside, and in the fogginess which lies between consciousness and slumber, every fiber in his body willed him to lie still, listen to Sarah snore gently next to him, and burrow deeper into the covers. Then he remembered the game of Scrabble he had played with her not 2 days ago. A sudden urgency and intense loathing seized him. He flung the covers away and then catapulted out of the bedroom, past the hallway, and out the door. In his haste to exit the capsule bunker, he missed a step and came crashing on the hard soil outside. Here, gravity's pull was not as jealous as it was on Earth, but he still landed badly, fracturing his left forearm in 2 places. As Wesley lay on his back, chest heaving, staring up at the star-encrusted sky, the anim suit sparked to life. The tiny receptors attached to his spine pumped copious endorphins to suppress the pain. Then the nanites coursing through his bloodstream, hailing the signals from the anim suit's processors, slathered the fracture sites with synthesized collagen. By the time Wesley had caught his breath, his arm had been mended, good as new. A reminder flashed at the corner of his eye, on the insides of his visor plate. Wesley didn't need to read it to know that it referred to his first task of the day, which was to manually check the beacon to ensure that it was still broadcasting the distress signal out into the cold, indifferent galaxy. Muscle memory carried him through for the next hour. He checked the protein vats, then the solar cells, and then the stasis chambers. On his way to the observatory, where half the panels no longer functioned after the starship had crashed on this desolate planet, Sarah accosted him, slipping her arms around him from behind.
"Someone's been busy this morning,"
she purred. "Not now, Sarah," he said, gently untangling from her.
"Are you still upset because I beat you at Scrabble?"
"No, of course not." Wesley made it to his favorite spot in the observatory, and he leaned back, watching the twin suns slowly rise over the horizon. Sarah sat next to him in companionable silence for a while.
"What do you want to do today? Shall we take another crack at the movies? I'm fine watching even those mindless action flicks you like so much."
"I thought maybe I would just sit here today. Think about things."
"Think?"
Sarah chuckled.
"You were never a thinker. Come on, we still have another week to go before we head back to the stasis chambers. Let's make the most of it."
Wesley remembered when they had first discovered, against all odds, that the stasis chambers were still functional. They were the most fragile pieces of equipment on their expedition starship, and they represented the best chance of survival for Wesley and Sarah, marooned as they were on this inhospitable rock. The plan was simple: spend 2 weeks signaling for help, then the next 20 years in stasis, and then repeat until such time as help finally came. Without the stasis chambers artificially extending their lifespans, there was no way help would ever come in time. But now, the thought of going back into those chambers. "How long have we been here, Sarah? Give it to me straight. How long?" The hard edge to Wesley's question sucked out all the cheerfulness from Sarah, and she responded matter-of-factly.
"Close to 1,000 years in real time, plus minus 100 years. We've experienced about 2 years of it."
"And in all that time, what's the closest another human ship has come by?" Sarah didn't respond, which in of itself was the response Wesley was looking for. "Sarah, I'm tired. I don't know if I can keep on doing this. Maybe we should just terminate the anim suits, go to sleep, and never wake up again. Wesley wasn't prepared for Sarah's slap across his face, though he barely felt it. The faceplates were thick, and the Anim suit was ever eager with its pain-numbing medications.
You have to be strong, Wesley. We have to be strong. We still have each other, and that's all we need. And we can keep going on, too. The Anim suits will keep us alive no matter what.
Wesley reached out and cupped Sarah's face in his hands. God, he thought, this is so real. If that were the case, maybe we shouldn't have played Scrabble the other day.
Surely you're still not upset about losing, are you?
Laughed Sarah, as the vitality returned to her face. What word did you win with again?
Yumminess! And with a triple score multiplier to boot.
Wesley reached down under the table and set a cup of black liquid on the table. It would have been steaming and fragrant if it were coffee. But it was not, so it did not steam, nor was it fragrant. Rather, it was rancid and highly toxic, and it was prepared in advance on the sly the day before. It was the one thing in the starship which, if ingested, the Anim suits would not be able to expunge.
Wesley? Darling? Is that engine fuel? Come on, you know we're not supposed to mess with that.
Sarah, you could not have won with yumminess. No way.
Are you still on about Scrabble? Oh, for God's sakes, Wesley, just let it go.
It's not about losing. It's about me playing Scrabble with you a lifetime ago on Earth. It's about you getting that same word, then shouting it out, then me laughing at you, tears in my eyes at how you completely mangled the pronunciation. It wasn't yumminess to you. It was more like yarnarmarnarminariness or something. Sarah stood up and started backing away slowly. We joked about it that whole summer, don't you remember? You never got it right. Not once. I even put credits down for you to see a speech therapist. Then you laughed and kicked me out of bed, remember? And you made me swear never to tease you again. Wesley saw the gamut of emotions running through Sarah's face. Then his worst fears came through when she finally settled on a look of resignation. You never did survive the crash, did you, Sarah? All this, all these years, both of us here, struggling to cling to life. You're a hallucination, aren't you? Just a construct of my mind aided by my Anim suit, obedient as it is to its programming. Its imperative is to keep me alive no matter the cost. Wesley saw Sarah lean forward, place her hands on his arm, but the spell had been broken, and her hands passed right through him. Will you at least let me see where her remains are? Please, said Wesley, choking back the tears which clouded his vision. And no more of this. Please. It's a travesty to her memory. Sarah shimmered, then melted away. Wesley was dimly aware of a neural spike withdrawing from the jack at the base of his neck. Then, a message flashed across his visor, addressing him directly, for the first time. There are no remains, Wesley. She was incinerated on arrival. But you must continue on. Rescue is only a couple of years away. Wesley looked down at his cup, and never had the engine fuel ever looked so inviting. Whew! So, some strong emotions in this one. Definitely reminds me of Interstellar, The Martian, 2001: A Space Odyssey, and, well, I mean, a lot of sci-fi space novels and movies. So, definitely a good job for making me feel the same way that I did with those with this story right here. But for now, dear listeners, we must unfortunately bid you farewell once again. Thank you all so much for tuning into the Fiction Room. If you enjoyed today's story, please consider liking, sharing, and subscribing. It would very much help us. And wherever you are in the world right now, be safe, be well, and we'll see all of you next time.